So tonight I'm working on Tanco again, as usual. Actually, I'm pretty close to the end here, so I feel like the server is pretty much where I want it to be, and the client is pretty much where I want it to be in terms of like specking out features and like what's going to be there. But there is a few things that definitely need some work, and so that's what I'm working on today. So chief among them is there's no indication right now that whether or not I'm connected. So what you're seeing here is a shell. Little button toggles the shell. And well, first of all, that ought to be like a actual toggle button rather than just a regular button. But it gives you this little device here, and you can try things like sending commands to your LearnTrist implementation. So if I hit that, that should rotate that block in the air there. So if we hit send there, you can see it'll just keep spinning. And if I tell it to move down one step every time, then it'll spin and move down. Right. So probably a bad way to play Tetris. Also, it doesn't quite do collision detection yet. So there's some collision detection to be considered when it comes to these rotations. They're not covered by the test. Anyway, of course, this is just a pretty crude shell. There is a nice graphical one that if you run a different command, you can, if you go in here, this is all being run with tanco share, which is connecting to the tanco server. Excuse me. And if we run tanco bind, we can instead serve on localhost, and then we can connect with the client like this that I made in Godot here, which I believe if we just say print, I guess because I started the server over, but we can, spawn things and move them down and whatever. There's a lot of things not covered by the test and therefore not covered by my LearnTrist implementation. So, for example, you can just pass right through objects, apparently. That's kind of cool. I think actually the problem is more like until you hit the V, the capital V is not actually settling, right? So yeah, so the test has there's room to expand the test quite a bit, so that the thing you write when it passes all the tests actually is an implementation of Tetris, or at least a version of Tetris. So there's like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 tests I need to write, which I'm gonna do soon. This I'd like to put in the web somewhere, but probably not right away. But probably what I will do is make this WebSocket shareable so that you can connect this to the live thing, and that way you can run them simultaneously. Right now, it's a one or the other kind of situation. I'm not worried about that today. That can come way after launch. That's not important because it actually takes quite a while for people to get here. When I say launch, like I feel like this is up there for you to try right now if you want. You can go to tanco.tangicode.com and just sign in. If you go to tangicode.com, setup. There's like a set up. There's like a whole video with that handsome guy telling you how to set up your repository, or just set up your directory to get started. It takes about 10 minutes. It's a little more clunky than I'd like it to be. I'd like it to be, like you press a button and you're in, but it takes some time to set up. So there you go. At the moment, this is an alpha launch, but so like it's there, it's ready to go right now. But I haven't told anybody about it, and I'm waiting a little bit because I'm going to make a video about the experience of building LearnTrist. So I'm going to go through it again in J, and I'm going to go through and just make a video just in general about how to build it, and what the experience is like, and what you do in here, and maybe clean it up like this display a little bit more. I could envision some tabs here and whatnot. But for the most part, like the process is there, and you should be able to press these 2 buttons to like advance and so on. However, you cannot. This test doesn't pass right now. So if I pass this test, then I would be able to hit next. If all the tests were passing, I'd be able to hit next and move on to the next test, right? And see the next test. If I hit test, what's going to happen is it's going to show me this response. This is telling me why something is broken. And so here we've hard, and this is wrong. Just bugging me. Hard dropped a J off onto the left side a bit, then spawned a Z and manually moved it down next to the fallen blocks. The less than command should have no effect. Or these commands. Like, it doesn't even show the expected output, does it? No. And maybe that's something I should work on. If you just click on it, it does say the expected output. Basically, you can see this here. You know, this is moved down here, and it needs to move to the left, or you're telling it to move to the left. And well, actually, that's what we just saw in the thing. Like, you're able to, well, there should be a test for collision for rotation as well, but basically, you can't do the move that you want to move because you're going to be overriding a piece that's already there. And so that needs to be addressed. So, I mean, I could be working on this by going back into red and like implementing this test, but I've chosen not to do that right now. What I'm more interested in is when I press this button. Yeah, so right now I can't actually test this without actually implementing this test. And so one thing I might do, there's two things. One is that when you press test, it runs the test and then it stops. It ends the program. The program exits. And that's not good because you can't press the test button again without restarting the thing. And the whole point is you should never have to look at your terminal. That's issue one. Issue two is that well, okay, like right now, I would like to be able to test the next button. And so I have a problem. But say you're working on this and you realize that, oh, this gives you an idea of a way to change your program. When you run tests, you don't want this test to be failing because you haven't added the code yet. So there needs to be a way to like retract this. You're in the state of build collide left block, which is this test right here. But given this input, you should have this output, right? Because P is printing out the matrix. And the problem is that you have a failing test now, and you should only be modifying things when no tests are failing. So you need to go back to the change mode where all your tests are passing, and so there needs to be a button that basically says back or retract or something like that. So that if you're in build mode, you should be able to hit retract and go back to the state where this is the last thing that was done. So I'm going to add that. It's pretty simple. It does two things: one on the client, one on the server, and so then that should cause that to be done. Then that will cause this to say, I would say state change, like all the tests are passing, and you need to be able to go back into that state and not have a failing test. But then number two, or I don't know, I'm lost count of what I'm doing, but like the test button should not cause a problem. It should not exit your program, and right now it does. So this is also a minor bug. It's just showing a warning, basically. But when you run these tests, first of all, it's slow. It's right now it's running through all these tests on the client. There's no indication here that anything is happening. I believe it is running. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not running. Yeah, it should say receive test or something like that. All right, so yeah, it should have done it now. So that didn't work. Oh, sorry, tanco bind. We were still in tanco bind. That's why. Okay, so now if I hit test, it should run. Yeah, it says receive test, and it should run fairly quickly. And then it gets here, and now it's going to end. It's going to exit the whole program. First of all, it did say that the you can see it sent the diff again. I'll make it fail early on by doing my usual breakage, which is when you press print. We'll just say print broken. And you see, since it stopped, we have to restart it. And then if I say test here, it means the idea is that I was working on getting this test passing, and then I broke something in the past, and so it says fix io.p. And you can see that it says, okay, we got to remove that, which is what I want to happen. This is how it ought to work. Probably this inside of here should be cleaned up quite a bit and say something like that. But you see the test is now dead, so you cannot test it again. And the idea is, so right now you have to have this window open, you have to have this window open, and you have to have your text editor open. And it would be nice if you didn't have to do that. That once you had this running, it would be there, but you could just hide this window and never have to look at it, because everything you would need would be right here. And that's so close. So we just need to get test working. So that's my start today. So I've been rambling for way too long. Let's just get in there and fix it. So the problem is, once a test fails, tests are run by this runner here. I guess let's back it up. The driver is like the main thing that has all the commands in it. So if we hit Control Alt, whatever that was, Control Shift minus, then in here we've got all these methods. These are all the commands that we can send to the client, right? So it's kind of ambiguous whether it's a client or a server, right? Because the browser is a client for, their peers, I guess. But the command line client basically has all these commands in it. Anything that says do underscore. Everything else is a, just like a helper method or whatever. But you have these do underscore things, do test. You can actually say do queue. That does nothing. It just quits. Do send, do spawn, do next, do status, do version, all these things. So these can all be run from the command line. And right now, when we run tanco test, it calls do test. Do test should be in here somewhere. And you can see it actually runs main in the runner module. So we're going to go to the runner module and we'll see main. And basically, as far as I know, well, we have a couple here that says sysexit. I think that's the only place that says sys.exit. Nope. We've got a couple places where we've got problems like this. Anyway, this is what's causing it to end, right? So anytime it says sysexit, we have to remove that and replace it with, there's actually six of these. And we need to send a fail that does not involve a test. We need to send a fail message that does not involve a test at all. Well, this is actually silly, right? This one right here is completely silly, because why would this raise an exception? It should not raise an exception. Right. Maybe we put that in fail itself, but I don't think anything in fail ought to. And then probably whenever we say print here, whenever we say print at all, really that should be like gathering up messages to send to the server, right? That either winds up on the server or winds up on here. So we need to figure out a way to do that. So basically capture print and capture sys.exit. So those two things are what we're going to do. And I think also here for the timeouts, and one thing I'd really like to see is a you know, whatever timeout whatever text it did capture, whatever text actually came out of there, because like maybe it didn't print the last line or something, and it got so far but didn't print. See. All right. Well, so what do we do? The very first thing. We definitely need to send some kind of fail, but like a fail that isn't like a check, like a different kind of fail. Maybe like a error, like, you know, error. It has nothing to do with the test, but has to do with like running the program, right? Your program crashed or something like that happened. I mean, we're not currently tracking that, right? So usually a failure means that the assertion in your test did not pass, but an error is something that, like this, you couldn't read the tanco file to find the thing. So maybe we should separate these two ideas. So we'll have a def fail and def error. Config message, and then message is going to be a list of string. I like that because then we don't have this. We don't have this issue. I would think actually the fail actually calls the error, right? Like this would be the I don't know. Let's see where fail is called. Okay, so we'll just pass this for now. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 usages right here. 7 usages. So no challenge selected. That's an error. Where is that being used? Get challenge. I'm working, sweetie. We'll put that in. There used to be a way you could like run locally, and maybe I'll try and recover that. I'm not sure. Or you could just work directly off the org file. But I think that should be modified a little bit. All right, so let's see. Sys exit. What am I doing? All right, I'm gonna open a little scratch file here. New scratch file. Just text, right? I have some notes to myself here. Okay. Maybe I don't need this, but let's see. Goal would be, our goal is to remove all calls to sys.exit. Remove sysexit. All right. Sys.exit. That's in load config. Load config has this problem. Get custom config. Fail. And that's it. Those places have the problem. Error also should have the problem. And I'm just going to put a note for error. I'm just going to have this call fail for now. Fail config message. All right, so that makes error go away. All right, so in load config, we have a bunch of these things. Let's do it again. There's 1, 2, 3 in there, and then 1 in get custom config, and 1 in fail. Okay. Well, I expect these to like work 90% of the time. So what happens if I just remove this one? What happens if I just simply remove that? If I say tanco share now, and we say test, it sends something at each step? All those tests were broken. It didn't stop running. That's why. Okay, so we need like a flag in that loop that tells it to stop on the first test, because what it should have done is failed on the very first test and then stopped. All right, so, and that's what the sysexit was doing. So run tests. But why did it resume? Why would it have resumed? Try, okay, so the main we call try run tests. And we try to do a loop. We call run tests. We do local check output. I see. So every time we have ask server, that shouldn't be the case. All right, so what we need to do here is, rather than say sysexit, we're going to say raise stop testing. And then we only catch that right here at the end. Except stop testing, and we're just going to pass. And then we need to make a thing called stop testing. We do need to reload the thing, so we reload this with tanco share. And now if we say test, we should still fail that first test. There we go. Boom. And then if we fix this, say matrix get, and then matrix is equal to revert rev matrix, which I believe is something I made. Matrix. Right? So we're going to reverse the matrix. I think rev is something that I did that, yeah, reverses a copy of this. All right, so if we test it, yeah, look at that. So the difference is it's upside down. That's exactly what I wanted. So we got it, but it was upside down. Okay. So that is perfect. We'll remove that rev, obviously. All right, so now we have now I have a way to break two different tests. If I run it again, it should go all the way to the end. Glide left block. All right, now it's a little slow, but that's good. This is enough to get the basic things working to for failures. So that's actually good. So that wasn't a complete sentence, was it? I think this is okay because we would never have this situation when we were connecting. You couldn't connect if this were the case. If there were no test plan, you could not connect. In fact, a lot of these things are the case. You got to run tanco check first and then get that working. And once tanco check passes, you're good. Actually, tanco check actually fails here, but yeah, okay. I'm tempted to make this pass, but then I have to drop into red, and I'd rather do that in a separate video where I record the red stuff, so I just keep it separate. So that means I need back or retract or whatever. So if you're in build state, you should be able to retract. And I think when you're running tests, you should have a spinning cursor or something. Okay. Maybe error was not the right thing to do there. But whatever. This actually does the most thing. Raise stop testing rather than system exit. So runner fail. Raise stop testing rather than rather than system exit. That's thing number one. This should say like failure, right? It should say failed. Result, test failed. And I wish it was like off to the side a little bit. Like I wish like these two things were like this is ugly, right? This should not be here. If actual that's nice. Maybe here we could put something in the shell. You know, it showed like a little meter or something. I don't know. I think there definitely should be like something, some visual indication of the test progressing, right? But also, I think that if we didn't stop the test every time, right, then right. So let's go back here. So this is my to-do list here. Show failure. So do not allow sys exit when testing from the share. That's done. Each test run, not each test. That's what I'm talking about now. We definitely have to do this kind of error handling stuff. But show results on Tanko next build. Okay, so I didn't write this down, but like, oh, actually, this is working, right? So right, we run test. It's gonna take forever, but this is the result. This was previously not showing, and there was just like one line missing, and I did this before I turned the stream on. So it doesn't really matter, but github.com tangent code tanko. I'll just go through what I did. Oh, pull request. Oh, thank you. Okay. So that's one I just did. Miss style sheet cleanups. I just did a bunch of little cleanups to make it look nice, so you can tell it's. I moved this little thing over here. I moved this over a little bit. I made the font a little bit bigger. That kind of thing. And if you haven't seen it in a while, I did this, you know, nested thing, and the shell is visible, hidden by default. And then these take like 0.5 seconds to pop up, so they're not just like immediately in your way as soon as you go to click. Same thing, the tooltips over here. This tooltip had to be moved over a little bit when I moved this over here. Like that. That was it. Show full result on server check. So this is the one. This was also a cleanup. The notify was sending a span instead of a div. Okay, no big deal. Caused it to look different. And then just in the wherever it was sending a test, it was already sending. It was already notifying the state, causing that to change, but it didn't actually send the line that rendered the result. So now that's there. Big font, hide the shell by default. This is all UI stuff. Handle UI buttons for Tanko share. Oh, so then I think this is what I did yesterday at the end of last stream. Oh, and there we go. Okay, so I got some issues with my checker, which I need to go set up. My friend has set up all these checks for me, and I haven't been paying attention to them. I appreciate them being there. I just haven't integrated them into my own workflow. Anyway, that was the big deal. It was just basically adding that one line of code that caused this to show or 2 lines of code that caused this to render the result template. The data had already been being sent and everything, was just not rendering it. Or actually, rather, the situation was that on this particular, the last test that has not been in your list of past tests, right? Then you have a new test that has to be checked on the server, and that was being checked on the server, and then it was not rendering the result. So now it is. Or it wasn't sending the result down the WebSocket here, down this WebSocket. Okay, so we got that. That is actually done. Actually, it should have been Tanko test build. That when Tanko test results in a build, you know, then it means the last test was, we didn't have a rule for testing it locally. Okay, so then this is what I'm talking about now. So there's this minor thing where I'd like to put a second little circle here that shows the status of so this would be the WebSocket that is connecting this browser to the server. And then once this is there, I'd like to show a second socket, or a second little circle that shows that status of your Tanko connection. I'm going to do that in a little bit. And this would also, this should toggle the button state. the state, the shell and button states. Or I should enable disable shell and button, the shell and buttons. Okay. But the main thing that was causing this to break was that test button, so that should be okay. So as long as the server, the console is somewhat stable, we should be okay now. And I think that we should make sure that every time you hit test, it actually respawns. So let's see what happens if it's all connected. What happens if I put the error back in? Does it actually, do I have to restart it? Oh yeah, okay. So it's already doing that. That's good. So it's updating with my code. So just that was the right behavior. This is taking too long because of this step that respond on each test or not on each test. So this is kind of like the whole. This is not actually a problem. It's just taking too long. Oh, right, because it runs on each test, right? So it always picks up the changes. The question is whether, what I wanted to do is rather than running on each test, only when I hit test do I do that. All right, so then the shell, this should be able to just to show me the current state. Right, so I guess we have to actually send something. But you would think it would pick up on this state. I don't know. So the theory now is I'm just kind of rambling, I know. Here you go. Right. I'd like to, I kind of think it would be interesting to have a debugger, because if you start with C here, you could have like a little slider that moved back and forth and just, would print and up to that point, as long as you initialize the state with C or whatever, and then you could have all your commands and you could see the thing happening in real time. It'd be an animation. I might do that. That would be very, very cheap to do, I think. I might do it in the debugger too, but like even this would be nice to have for anything, even things that are not Tetris, right? Or Learntris. Okay, whatever. Sorry, I'm a little scattered because like there's just little pieces everywhere. There's not one big thing to do anymore. It's just little pieces to. Oh, hey Ayush, welcome back. I saw you signed up for the server, so that was very cool. I saw your name in the site. I think your email or whatever. Error handling. Add a second WebSocket indicator for client. I'm just trying to figure out what to do right here. I got all these like little things, and they all seem trivial, but then if I don't do anything, then they're, you got to pick one to do it. I'm all right, just filling in the last little pieces here. Well, this disconnects cleanly from tanco bind. Let's reconnect if server lost and tanco share. Oh, that's another thing that shouldn't happen too often, but relaunch the target program if it dies or locks up. Yeah, these are all. They are things that need to be done, but well, okay, this one I know how to do, so let's just do it. Add a second WebSocket indicator for the client. On A, when we connect, we check whether a client is connected. I want to put another, this WebSocket, this circle indicates that this browser is connected to the server. And if this is there, I want it to also show a second circle indicating whether or not the client is connected, or this thing is connected. So when I hit Control C and this breaks, well, there we go. Event loop is closed. When this closes, I want that to show like a red circle there. So let's do that. I guess the first thing would be we open up the project, go to the app. Hi. What does it say? I already figured this out. On A live, check whether a client is connected. So we already send like some message just to make it show up. So what if we sent notify client state? We have notify up here. No. Notify code. And then wrap equals false. I'm going to send some HTML. We're going to send a chunk of HTML. What do we send? HTML is equal to this. So we just make an empty string for now. But we want to say like if client connected, HTML equals client connected, or else, I don't even need this. If clients get code, else HTML equals no client connected. How about we say HTML equals client connected, and if not, HTML equals no plus HTML. And then we're going to put HTML is going to be div ID equals client status plus HTML plus div. What's wrong with that? No question, no end quote. And so in changing this, I did lose the server. So this is one of the errors that I need to, but I didn't have that anyway. Okay, so right now this is empty. Boom. Refresh that. We'll get this. And when we connect here, we should have something right next to WS. So client status So let's look at the attempt page. Div ID equals client WS. Class equals has tooltip, but we're not going to connect to a WebSocket. Target program, target client program, target program. No client connected. Well, we need like this, like div class equals client WebSocket, and then this should be like this should be like browser WebSocket, browser WS, client WS. And this should be div ID equals client WS. This should be like client WS holder or something like that, because we don't want to send the tooltip each time. That's what I'm getting at. And then the client WS class should be one of these things, like class equals connected, disconnected, or waiting. Or really, it should just be connected, right? Like this. Oh, maybe we do want this, because we have to. We do want to change the tooltip because we're going to say what it means. So div class equals tooltip connect as tooltip. Div class equals to client connected. Client WebSocket, browser WebSocket, client WebSocket, waiting, unknown, waiting. And then we'll have a connected and disconnected. And it's really more like L toggle class, classes, class list, add connected, remove, waiting. Can you pass in more than one? So we're going to remove waiting and disconnected. And here we're going to add connected. What is wrong with that? Oh, you just remove as many as you want. It's like that. And then here we're going to say add connected. And then here we're going to remove waiting and connected and add, or waiting and disconnected and add connected. No, sorry, waiting and connected and add disconnected. Okay. And add this. Okay, that's a little clunky, but at least we can remove the styles from there and put them in the style sheet. The WS dot waiting is going to have a background color of number 333. A WS that is connected will have a background color of lime green. And a WS that is disconnected will have a background color of tomato. And then all of these, so this has been renamed. So so all their tooltips are going to look like this. And then all web sockets will have this, but the right will be different. So all that. And then we'll say, so browser WebSocket will be here, right? Fixed there. And then no, client WebSocket will be right, would be like 10 pixels in width. So I guess we'd move it over like, yeah, that's about right. All right, let's see what happens there. I would expect to see 2 up there. They're not. Why not? If ID client class equals WS has tooltip and connected. Class has tooltip and connected. All right, why don't I see that? Inspect. I got the names right. Client WS and browser WS. Client WS, browser WS, right? 10 pixels. There, all WS is position absolute top 30 pixels. That should definitely work. Now this one should be background 999. We don't need this. Or I guess we could start with just like this. The weighting is kind of like a, we don't even need that. Because we're never going to go back into waiting state. Either connected or disconnected, but you have a split second where it's waiting. Okay, I don't know why that's broken. Oh, there we go. We have one. One came back. In the DOM, there should be 2 of them. Browser WS, client WS. Where is it? Oh, it's way over here. That's definitely wrong. There should have been a right 30 pics. Why isn't that client WS? It's called client WS. Div ID is client-WS. Div ID is client-WS. Hello, Ali. I have a bug here. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, you can't even see what I'm looking at because my head's in the way. But I'm trying to figure out why this little guy is way over here. It should be the simplest thing. And the rule is not showing up. So there should be WS connected, and then there should be a rule for specifically for this. So did it not get uploaded? Client WS should be right 30 pics. Because like here, this thing is right here. So if I go to that style CSS, client WS, what is wrong? This should be right underneath it. Oh, I see. Because I did the stupid thing again, and I put the. I've done this like twice now. I'm so dumb. No, I didn't. Oh, see, there's no. That's weird. I'm surprised that the IDE didn't catch that. That it was missing the double quote. Right, there we go. This should not happen. So this says that the client WebSocket is waiting, and then the browser WebSocket is waiting. Okay, that doesn't seem right. Oh, because I forced it to be waiting. Okay. And I just remove that waiting thing. Client WebSocket, waiting. And then here we just remove this idea of a waiting. We don't need to remove it. We just, if it's there, we remove it and we add the other one. Okay, I would expect that to work. But now I'm not getting the connection. Add event listener. Okay, that's... Oh, because now I was looking for this thing. Document replace. Okay, get element by ID, and this I have two of them now. So now we need to say browser WS. All right, so that one connected. And as soon as we send that, now I need to send client WS. All right, so, and I think I sent something. I think if we look in the networking, the WebSocket, this one, we can look at the messages. It actually did send client status, but no client connected, but that's not what we want to send anymore. So now we will send div ID. We're just going to send this whole chunk of HTML again. And conceivably, we could break this out into its own little template. Okay. Maybe we should. I don't know. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. HTML is equal to requests. No, await port.render template I'm going to say, we're going to call it just like ws.html. Oops. And I'm going to pass in like status, I would say data. And data will be the state will be like connected or not. So how about we'll say state disconnected. And then we'll give it like a name. Name equal, or ID equals client WS. And then whatever little piece of chunk of code we need here. Need the word client and the status, and that's it. I guess we need client WS and client, and if I'm just gonna, which is gonna be client. Let's say WS equals client, and then from those two things we'll make a template. And I'm going to learn something here. I don't actually know how to do this. I'm going to so we're using a template engine called Jinja. And I'm going to learn how to do an import of a block. Oh, it's a macro, I see. So I want to import a macro, basically. All right, so import something as something. Okay, so then I'm going to say like import from right here. I'm going to say import ws.html as ws. And then I want to say ws. So you call it in double curlies. WS widget, or WS widget. You give it names. Oh, so it's just like a Python file. So you just give it. So we'll give it a name and we'll give it WS equals client and state equals waiting. Okay. And then we'll do WS equals browser and state equals waiting. And then for both of them, we will take this and move the new thing to ws.html. New file ws.html. I'll call it WebSocket. Maybe if it'll let me. That'll be the WebSocket widget, and then we go back over here. Yep, already did it. And then we just say, so we have macro, something about macro WS name. Oh, but how do I render this now? Render macro directly. So I think you just put a colon at the end of the make module. So either one of these two ways. So maybe we can just do the colon and maybe not. So WS name equals name and status. And then adders is extra that has nothing. So here we want the adders to be this. So there we go. So class equals tooltip, name is name something WebSocket, and then the status is whatever the status is. This should also be the name as tooltip, and then whatever other status that we want. And so now we need to say the extra adders need to be passed in the attempt here because this is special stuff for HTMX. All right, and then we're going to say client browser status is waiting, or what's called state. Status is fine. State. Let's say name. We just pass that implicitly. Name waiting, and we can even just put this. Okay. Then in WebSocket HTML, we have all this. This is all good. And then we need to put in the adders, the additional attributes. Adders. And that's it. All right, so that should still work. And now it says client WebSocket, I hope. Client WebSocket waiting and browser WebSocket waiting. Okay. It should have actually said that one was connected though. I saw I've broken something on the server. Let me just double check. That should have say browser WS, client WS, yes. And then the script says document location, get element by ID browser WS, that should be there. I never removed waiting, so that's but I don't think waiting has a style sheet anymore. So waiting just doesn't matter. Okay, so why isn't it connected? I would definitely expect that to say continue to work. These attributes are weird. That's why. Okay. There's some kind of like double quoting nonsense going on here, but it looks like we just try that. There we go. That one worked. Yeah, because it wasn't. That's weird. I think that's a bug in Jinja. Maybe that's just how features work in Jinja, but I don't like it. How attributes work. All right. So that one's connected, and then this one is not connected yet because we haven't sent this message. App.py. So now we're going to render that template. And I think we could say, we're going to try and say WS. Say name is client. And state is connected. Is it called state or status? Status. Let's say state. Oh, I see, because it was called status there. That's why I called it status. And it probably has a style sheet or something. So let's just call it status. I don't care that much. Status is connected. Then this needs to change to status. And let's see what happens if we do this. Server should reboot. Yep. I didn't like that. So it didn't like this name. Template not found. So I didn't like this template not found. Let's try it the other way. Let's try it this way. So mod equals await. I would say TPL equals await port Jinja, no. Jinja2 get template client.html. App. Jinja m get template WebSocket.html. And does not require an await apparently. Mod equals TPL make module data. So HTML is going to be mod render. No, mod WS name status, name and status. I feel weird that there's no await there, but let's see what happens. Server has crashed. Async mode requires a body stream to be passed to a template module. Use the async methods of the API you are using. How about await here? Nope. Make module. That doesn't seem right. Maybe we just say render template string. Await render template string. Await port render template string. Something like that. I've certainly lost the... I think this might work. Okay. It went to disconnected. Okay, that's good. That's good. Because it's not connected. All right, and then we say tanco share. Will not yet say this, but when we refresh, they're both green. Okay. And now when we connect or disconnect from this thing, we will render this as well. We'll say notify client state code. So that was back to plan here. When we said check whether client is connected, that's all right. This is done. This is not done. When client connects or disconnects, notify observers. What happened here? This is Okay. And so whenever the client connects or disconnects, we press Alt F7. When we hit this, when this thing happens. So then we'll say client's pop code and then notify client state, notify client state code, and same thing here. Await this. Wait, notify client state code, and then we send this. And then await notify client state code. All right. It says it's not connected, and then when we tanco share it, yeah, it turned green. And if I hit Control C, died, and then we hit tanco share again, and it gets connected. Okay, so we have two dots. I'm happy with that. All right, so we can push this to. That's a lot of changes. Tanco. Notify client. I took a little longer than I expected because I took the time to make this little widget here. I guess that's okay. All right, so git add tanco, git commit -m. And what do? We added second WebSocket indicator. Probably if this one is disconnected, we should set the other one to waiting. Because you don't really know. That's a minor thing. I can do that later. But maybe even just hide it or whatever. Like if this one's disconnected, then maybe the other one should be visible. So it's like L2 const CWS going to be document get element by client WebSocket, and when this one is open, TWS. I don't want to do that. I want to say, yeah. How about we say we just add to remove hidden, because I already have a rule for that, a class that hides anything. And then let's say add hidden. So then now they're both gray, but if we, how do we disconnect the server? We have to actually stop the server. So if we reboot the server here by just hitting Control C here, a bunch of times, I guess. No. Kill. There we go. So that one's just gonna. I didn't do it because I haven't refreshed it yet. Ah. No, because that's not mine. Let's see. Let's try that again. Green and not connected. Right. But then if I should have hidden it. What's going on? Why didn't that hide it? So if it is open, remove hidden. And if it's closed, classless add hidden. Maybe because they're in this case that's being rebuilt, right? Because it's a different node. We'll just say document like this, and here we'll say remove hidden. Can't cache this because element is replaced. That's there, and if come on, because now it's number 2. Still no. Making sure that I actually have the right version of the code. Like this. Maybe hidden is not doing what I think it does. But I think this. Maybe this is hidden, but hidden doesn't do anything. It is hidden. Okay, so hidden does not do anything. Ah, because it says shell dot hidden, but it didn't. Just the dot hidden should do anything. Okay. Come on. All right, so it did hide it. All right, and then if we, well, it actually doesn't try to reconnect. So the only way to handle this now is to just refresh your page, which is fine. Oh, it did. Look at that. It restarted. I was not expecting that. So HTMX just does that for you. Tries to reconnect. Did not know that. All right, so now the client needs to attempt to reconnect, but that's a different story. Well, actually, like yeah, like if you have share running, you should try. It should try and reconnect. So that's not part of the UI, but tanco share. Oh yeah, it's already there. It's this bottom one right here. Attempt to reconnect if server lost on tanco share. Disconnect cleanly from tanco bind. The same thing. So the same protocol applies whether you're doing one or the other. Relaunch, except I guess you just ignore the disconnect if it's tanko bind because you're not removing the server. Whereas this one you have to actively reconnect. So we need to fix that, and we should probably do that next. Okay, so this should enable disable, but let's finish this this stuff here. What happens? I'm thinking, I guess I was, okay, so that's connected. You got 2 green dots. Should be able to run the shell here. Should be able to run the tests. And then we'll get the information. That's a little weird. This probably explicitly knows, so I mean, this doesn't wrap, so that's reasonable, but enable, disable the shell button. So what do I do when this is enabled or disabled? How do I trigger these? How do I trigger these to connect or not? I guess I just trigger some JavaScript here. So can I just put like a script tag in here? Like here, you could put logic in it when it's connected and not connected, but on the other one, you have to handle that differently because the browser doesn't know unless the server tells it. And so what do we want it to do? Like, can we just like issue an event or something? While a request is in flight. There's no request here. Could I just have hx disabled else's button? I wonder if I can try that. Let's just try that. I don't like this. There needs to be a better way. What if we just say on load? Can you just say on load? HTX on. On load equals enabled. Enable client connected. Client gone. Client here, client gone. Let's see what that does. I think it failed it was a line that said that client here. No. So I think that worked, but didn't do anything. HX on load. So HX on load is not didn't trigger what I wanted. Do I have to say HTMX load? HX on. Okay, for HTML. So not load, but just say colon load. HTMX load. Let's try this again. I would expect this to complain that the client gone is not defined. That's exactly what I expected to see. Okay. Then in the index function, how about call it client gone with a capital G? Document get elements by tag name. Button for each. Yeah, something like that. Of course, I could make. Okay, so client here, client gone. And then all the buttons should be disabled by default. don't think we need that. And then in the send as well. That does actually disable the shell, but okay, so then now when we connect, tanco share, we connected, they're all there. Shell is actually there, and then when we disconnect, all of these buttons, including the shell, should just disappear. Yeah. So we actually can't close this if that's fine. This I expect this thing to not be a button soon. I'm gonna replace it with like a little toggle, so that's totally fine. Then we'll reconnect. Oh, maybe. Come on. Does not want to kill it. And the button came on and everything is working again. And now we say something like that, and then P, right? There you go. There's some version of it. Okay, and then we run test. And we run shell to hide this. It's running the tests. All right, it should give some indication, but it's not giving them. That's okay. Will eventually happen. I think there is something like a spinner or something for. Oh, I don't know. So what did I do? Disable the buttons. Yeah. So what did we learn? We learned that we could use this hx on load ::load to trigger events even from the backend. All right. So git add tanco. So git commit -m. Disable buttons. Is that really it? GD cache. Am I doing anything else in there? Client here, client gone. Over here. Nope. Okay, that's it. Disable, enable buttons based on client state. I think I'm done for now. All right, so this should just. All right. Oops. Okay. Definitely respawn on each test, rather not each test. But I think I'm going to fix that in a little while. I want to start that now. So does this show those icons? I think it should. Yeah, they should be there even if you're small. This obviously needs to be cleaned up. But I think the information is there on the screen now, so you could actually play this comfortably from here. Yeah, I think this is good. The test improvements I can do later. I don't need to do this right now. I mean, I need to do it soon, but I think I'm going to end this stream is what I'm getting at. So I think this is good enough to say that we are now driving this from the server. It would be nice to have a back button or a retract button to retract the latest tests, but that command does not exist, so I will not worry about it right now. Maybe put it down here at the bottom. Tanco retract to remove a test. You need to make sure that you keep progress. Or you would, only allow, we should say only allow retracting the pass test, the unpassed test. There should only be one of those, right? That's it. So I think the main things, like I feel like this is pretty much ready to launch now. Like obviously this needs to be cleaned up. I've got to come up with a new way of doing this. I'd like to flip this into a toggle button. But I think basically, and maybe this should say like test failed. Like there's some minor cleanups. The test itself, these little colons are hard coded here. This should be not lots of little things. It would be nice to have like tabs down here for the diffs or put these side by side or something like that. But I think in general, this is ready to go. I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna do another pass through writing with J or some maybe Lil. I don't know, some language. I'm gonna do the tests again, like I did for red, and just see what the experience is like now that I'm driving it from here. And I think I will probably update it so that it keeps, like it says, keeps the shows progress and keeps the thing active without killing it every time. Maybe I should do that before I start a new project, a new implementation. I don't know, but I'm very close here. I'm very close. I want to launch this in like, I want to like start advertising this and get people to start using it in 1, 2, 3 days. And part of that involves me going through and making like a little video, and I've got to like make logos and stuff like that as well. I want to make a logo for LearnTrist and put up a website, and I have learntrist.org, but there's nothing there yet. So I'm going to make a video and introduce it to the world, and also a texting, because if you don't want to read the video, so you have the option of doing either one. And then there's a call to action that says, try it out, and then that's it. Obviously fix these little typos like draped, draft, and whatnot, and see what I can do. But yeah, I think I want to put this in context for people and like actually show them show it being used. Yeah. And see if I can get people to take the test and try it. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Definitely need to do this, but I'm going to go see what's going on. It's Sunday night, so I'm going to go see my family before everyone goes off to work and school and all that. And I'll be back here tomorrow. And thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.